operate this slideshow.
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
then turn around and that, I guess. Is it for this? Could you take it off this one? I suppose. Well, should I start as our skills coming?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, so in 2015, I was asked to give a presentation about the history of stilting at Ontario College of Art and Design's Social Body Lab. And they were looking at body augmentation, but I took it a lot more historically. And so I did a bunch of research then, and then I started talking to Randall in 2020 about doing this for this event. So finally we're here. I've done lots more research and gotten more curious and found more stuff that I find more interesting about the history of stilting, which is one of my favorite things in the world ever. So thank you so much for being here and sharing this with me. Okay, so why do we stilt? And I think originally, most of the origins are practical for practical reasons, like walking in filthy places, and ritualistic, ceremonial, cultural stuff. In this sort of opener slideshow slide here, there's some carnival, there's some medieval German stuff. These are Mexican chuncos, and that's one of the founders of Cirque du Soleil.
That was their record-breaking.
That was at their record-breaking thing in New York, I think. So I've got a lot of slides and lots of video clips, and I'm going to try to keep it to an hour. African roots. I think that there's a lot of African roots of stilting and other places in the world, but I'll start here. I've got some content from Ethiopia, Mali, and the Ivory Coast. The Ethiopian tribe here is known for their little boys on sticks. And then this one, I found this more recently, but I want you to look at the raggedy stuff flying, the covered face here, and it's a village. So let's look at this. I don't have any sound.
The video on the YouTube is...
Oh. Okay.
Wow. Look at that.
Yeah, so I think this is kind of like a presentation for tourists, but it seems pretty authentic to me. Oh, hey. Let's plug it in. What a great...
Are you muted?
It's paused.
Nick, muted?
I am now.
Hi, Nick.
Okay, we're in.
Thank you, technical support. They also have whipping sticks. So I have to kind of go back and forth between the slideshow and YouTube. So the Mali Dogon mask dancers have their own thing here. I don't really want to try to put dates on how long this has been happening. I don't know. I'm not an academic. I'm trying my best to understand a story here. Like, how did this stuff happen and how's it been passed on? It's clearly a procession. It's a pageantry. Their stilts are striped. forget to take the lights off the projection screen. Those lights down? Yeah. Okay. So from Africa, a lot of black people were stolen and taken to the West Indies, which sucks, but they did take a lot of their culture with them and were able to revive it over the years, especially after emancipation. So the West Indies are known for carnival festival. My mouse isn't showing. But specifically Trinidad and Tobago, and right there is also Guyana, where Julio's from. Yeah, so I please speak up if you have stuff to add here. You're probably more of an expert than I am. But this whole area has a lot of stilt culture. Like when I was in the British Virgin Islands on a family holiday, I saw a carnival parade with stilters there. It was pretty cool. I'll have a read here, but the carnival came out of the Lent festival, the festival before the period of fasting. And it seems like the enslaved people were able to do this thing involving burning sugar cane, which became the canboulé, which I'd love to research more about this, but basically it came together in a carnival festival, and the stilting came with it alongside with music and other dancing and whatnot. So I found these two pictures from the 60s of stilters. What I like about the one on the right, Antigua 1965, this is a man, I think, dressed as a woman, so it's kind of like really embodying the spirit of chaos and freedom and ridiculing people that is a part of carnival, to my understanding.
Can we ask questions?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay,
why
we
not?
do that.
Yeah.
So I just, do you know if the canboulé festival, is that still linked to the Catholic timing, or is it a totally different timing?
It's still part of carnival. I believe it's, they have different parts of carnival that happen before Lent. Juvet is one that happens in the early morning. It's kind of a beginning section. And this part, I think, is also a morning, wait, I don't know. It's got a time of day attached.
The Juvet ends the day before Lent begins.
So it's still.
That's when you give it your last all, and then you go and close your sins.
Right, so he's getting crazy, you know?
He's embodying the goddess of peace. In the Caribbean still dancing culture, mukajumbis mean healing spirit.
Yeah.
And the men that dance on stilts, they cover their faces, they dress as women, but they don't want the world to know that it's a man taking on the spirit of the goddess of peace. That's what our culture is.
Yeah, cool. I have more about mukajumbis. Totally want to learn more, but here we are. So Trinidad and Tobago, mukajumbis. These pictures are from the 90s, I think, but I really like the grass costumes. They seem more authentic, although they're not actually authentic. They're a recreation. And then there's a blurb here. What does it say to match with what Julio just said? A jumbi, there's the moko is, I think, a word for a spirit, a guardian spirit, and a jumbi is a word for a ghost, I think. Is that right?
Moko
Yeah.
means healing.
Healing.
Jambi means spirit. So the muka-jambi is a healing spirit.
It's hard to nail this down from my various reading. So like different people have different websites and whatnot. Healing spirit, tree spirit, guardian spirit. I think it's all related, but you're the authority here for sure.
And not really just our interpretation of it.
So in these modern costumes, we see the covered face again, the big hat, and these really bright costumes with a lot of texture and fabric. And what I understand, the carnival stilter participation would be in big groups. And again here, like the raggy look with fabrics, the covered faces in the groups, and also quite tall stilts, it looks like. Also like this stuff. Let's see here, I might have a video. Oh. Maybe this one does. So the groups of parading people, from what I understand, would go around celebrating in groups in costumes as groups. And I think that it started to connect with the music and the culture and something called mass bands. This, a little off track there, but from again, the like end of slavery, it was a pretty big part of carnival, and then I think it sort of dwindled off in the Trinidad and Tobago area, and then there was a revival in the 1990s.
The same guy that Glenn D'Souza went back into Trinidad, and he was single-handedly...
Glenn D'Souza.
Yeah, the same guy, Glenn. Dragon?
Yeah.
Single-handedly, when you go to Kilimanjaro School, revived the art form in Trinidad.
Did everyone hear that? Yeah. So yeah, this guy started a school. He's still alive. Is still going. Oh, I've got a video. Oh, this is a video from Carnival with the super tall athletes from his troupe. And they compete, the bands will compete, and it turned into a competition for the King and Queen of Carnival as well.
2 years ago, the first time I still wanted one
Yeah. There's these ginormous costumes that are half puppet, half costume. Yeah, 10-foot stilts, yep. Here we go. This girl is amazing too. And I think the videographer wasn't so interested in the stilts. I'll just say that. But it's really impressive, and the fact that there's women doing this out there is pretty awesome. So yeah, that's Glenn D'Souza there teaching, and let's look at that one too. Band on a float. Isn't that cool? So these giant wing costumes. Some local chubby thing as well.
That's why you watch these videos. They know that these are not high-tech stilts. These stilts are just a piece of sponge around their knee, tied with rope. No velcro, no none of that. Just a piece of rope and a piece of sponge, and there we go. Our shoes are glued, not screwed, but glued to the silk plate.
Crazy.
Yeah. Through this slideshow, I have some a little bit of looking at stilts themselves as well, which I find quite interesting. Different styles of stilts. So I really want to try some tall stilts. There's some of the like really wild moves.
Those are the guys who do most of the acrobatics, and the girls that are doing most of the gyrations, because that's carnival. Okay? A man is bad and he's bad, and the women may just go crazy.
February.
Yeah, it's in February. So the Kings and Queens thing, I just looked up, all right, last year who was the Queen of Carnival? This person. And this is her beautiful costume she made herself.
And where was this?
Trinidad and Tobago.
Son was the only Mukujambi entrant in this year's finals of the Senior King and Queen of Carnival competition. But a wet stage almost stopped her from taking the Queen of Carnival crown on the March Gras night.
And
The
she was
mother
3
of
months
two is
pregnant.
currently 5 months pregnant with her
Oh, 5.
third child, and the organizers of the event thought it would be too risky for the stilt walker to take the stage. But Chanel knew the risks going in, and she did everything to ensure her baby's safety.
In 2020, I went on, but I was almost like 2 weeks away from delivering. So I went 4 on stage on stilts, but I know it's almost between 4 and 5. So it's like, you know, but I feel like I understand accidents can happen, but life pain and other people say it's not the same. Don't feel I fall, but when I up there, I'm so comfortable doing it.
Chanel trained to walk on stilts with Junior Bisnath of the Kaisoka Mukujambis. She said Bisnath approached her at the age of 16 and the former boxer gave up her gloves for a chance to soar above the ring. She quickly learned the art of stilt walking and even some of the tricks.
Personally, when I started to walk stilts and I see these fellas, you know, these tricks and dance moves and things, I was like, hey, I want to do that. So I
A deeper meaning.
that COVID, it had the murders. I think I remember the young lady name and around that time when the costume was finished, when all of this school.
Okay, well, I think that was pretty amazing. She
Yeah.
did it. Yeah. And this I really wanted to show you folk. Has anyone heard of Peter Minshall?
I actually got to work with him in 1994.
So jealous.
He was born in Guyana, but his parents moved him to Trinidad at a very early age.
So I heard of him when I was working in outdoor theater in Toronto, and he's a famous designer who created mass bands there, which were giant parades with a sort of storytelling narrative message. So it was a message. Not going to get too much into Peter Minshall, but he designed this performance, this costume at least. The performer is Jawan Thomas, and he won this year. Oop, oop. Uh-oh.
There's 2 little arrows to the left. Okay.
And there should
This is Misha.
Does anyone know the Dying Swan? Yeah. It's a man on stilts being a ballerina performing a famous ballet dance. But I think that it's talking about the spirit of the Caribbean people more than actually a swan. What do you think he would say about this performance? What would he say?
Over the years, we've done a lot of ballet on stilts. So this is just one other ballet on stilts that we've done. We've done the Dying Swan, you know. And this presentation here was very well received.
This is Raz Nijinsky in drag as Pavlova. Dance could and should satisfy not only the eye, but through the medium of the eye should penetrate the soul. This is from Mikhail Fonkai.
He's not going to fall down. The Simpan music.
Designed to kill. It kills
Ah.
and it kills dogs too.
Stop.
Electricity.
I like the subtlety of that. It's just so beautiful and I don't know, shocking. This is a mass band called Moko Somoko. I think it was 2019. So big costumes, wings, big hats, raggedy stuff, bright colors. There's more half-naked ladies. Oh no! Oh no! This should be a video link here. Okay. There's some cool moves here. Oh no! I thought this would work.
You're right, you're right.
Yeah, it didn't work.
That one.
The hard way. I like this video a lot because they're amazing, and one of them has a big fall, and he gets back up. Whoa! His crew does not know how to pick him up. This is another like really classic kind of carnival puppet. He got back up, hopping on these humongous stilts, big leg movements. Awesome.
And those are like 8-foot stilts.
Looks like it. They're huge.
I don't know what
We have lots of spot. You don't see them, but we have lots of spot.
they wouldn't go from the wall.
As far as catches.
Oh, okay.
If you notice the way he fell as he was falling, he was leaning back as far as he could.
Yeah.
That actually slows you down.
Yeah.
It's like a cantilever action as opposed to
Right.
flat.
Was he sitting down into it, kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to watch that again.
Same trying to make it collapse like a rope.
I got a whole reel of people collapsing.
Got some good pictures of
mythology. Anyway, back to the Mokajumbi revival. This artist, Laura Anderson Barbata, not in these pictures, but she went and worked with Dragon at the Kilimanjaro School, came back to Brooklyn and started the BK Jumbies.
Oh, excuse me?
Yeah?
She did not start the Brooklyn Jumbies. The Brooklyn Jumbies were already established as a masquerade dance group. She
Pardon me,
worked
yeah.
in collaboration with the Brooklyn Jumbies,
Do you know her too?
personally.
Oh, cool. Wow. Thanks, I'm glad you're here. Okay, so what I noticed is that she went and worked in Trinidad. She came back to Brooklyn, and then she went to Mexico, to this, where is it now? Zachila. So here you see the covered faces, the men dressed as women, and hats, and really tall stilts. Again, so the Zancudos de Zachila, probably pronouncing it wrong. There's this story about a man meeting Saint Peter, who wanted, his birthday was coming, and he wanted this person to make stilts and dance for his birthday, for Saint Peter's birthday. So it happened, and this tradition was formed of doing a parade, I believe it is. Let's check out the video.
Look how thick those poles are. How much pushed away.
Like they're bamboo.
So,
Don't know.
really seems on them.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I got the bruises on my legs from them.
From the ropes, yeah. Yeah, look at their stilts. They're rustic, let's say. So one thing I found strange about this stilt performance is this is the performance. They seem so blasé and like not excited, but it's what they do. With no. Have you encountered this one, Randall? What?
They weren't doing this in the part of Mexico I was in.
Yeah, I think.
If I'd seen it, I would have been doing it.
Right. It's just this one little area where St. Peter came, I guess. And I do have it on a map. Yeah, it's here. Mouse isn't showing, but okay. Where the red dot is. Not too far away from the West Indies, really. Kudos. So back in Europe, let me just check and see if there's anything else here. We obviously we know about the land area of France here. My pointer isn't working, but maybe I'll like do this. You can see there's kind of a triangle here. This, I believe, is known as Gascony, Aquitaine, and this area is a town called Anguiano. But this area here, I learned a lot about recently in the research for this presentation, and we're going to get into it. But first, Anguiano, Spain. Danza de los Zancos. There's a town where it's related to the Magdalene Festival in July, where again it's all men, and these are the stilts they use. Quite rustic, again with rope and pillows and sort of archbreaker style. It's a very traditional folk dance thing, and an old town with cobbled streets. So before Ascension Day, they take Mary to the church, and these stilt dancers put on skirts and whirl down the street. It's 7 stairs, 58-meter long hill with a 20% grade.
And they go down that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a video now. But you can see, like, he's moving. And look at his feet are on a real angle there. Toes what?
When you bend your toes over, it gives you more control over the stilt.
Yeah. Yeah, no foot plates for them. Right.
Yeah.
So it's folk culture that's still alive and kept alive with folk music, and I imagine this has gone on since the Middle Ages or before. How did it get there? Probably from Africa? I don't know. When they have hand clappers, they play music with it. Look at the ground downstairs. Yeah. They fight as well? They're sticks. So, yeah, to me, this is fascinating. Back in the Middle Ages, all I could really find so far was marginalia and little drawings and mysterious narratives, like why is the pig wearing stilts, playing a harp, wearing a veil? I don't know. And what is he doing?
On the inside of the leg, notice.
Oh, how bizarre. Was the artist a stilter or not? Probably not. 1400s, here we see little Cupid putting on step-ups, using step-up stilts. And I don't know what's happening with the medieval lady wearing a pot on her head holding a baby on 10-foot stilts. Again with the stick on the inside, that's interesting. Yeah. So moving ahead, we can find a lot more drawings and art from starting in the 1800s. So it's kind of easier to research stilt history. I'm seeing some folk dances here with, where's my mouse now? But the man in the middle picture on the left, he's wearing a furry vest. He's probably referring to the French tradition. And on the right, I think it's advertising. But it's pretty cool with the hot air balloon. So back to France and Gascony. With this map, you can see again that area called Aquitaine. And on the left, the French stilters who were watching over sheep, and they would sit down on their stilts and knit. Like, I like to see that in our play we're doing. This is great. We're going to show them sitting down. But this comes up again in my historical tale. So back to the land. The red area there, kind of where the A is, was a marshy area that was known for flooding and drought. So stilting around there was used as a very practical way to get around. Doesn't sound that practical to me to get around on marshy areas and stilts, but it was. And it was practical to be able to see farther, to see where your sheep are and where you might want to walk instead of the marsh and the puddle. Also, I note here that there's no trees. Not really any trees, a little bit, but it's pretty flat, not a lot of forests. This is an older picture from the Jubilee from 1937, so this is still happening in the 30s. Photography is around. They've got their fur vests and their berets and their third stick. So, yeah, here's more of my story. This is another photograph from the early 1900s. This is shepherds, postmen, and messengers. I think here this is a staged postcard, and I think the person on the right is Sylvain Dornan, who is responsible for a revival of stilting in the late 1800s. But later on in his career, I think he turned to posing for photographs for postcards from the area.
Well, we all do now, right? Take pictures. Let people take pictures of us.
Yeah. Okay. This I find absolutely fascinating. So this whole area was marshy until the early 1800s. They started to engineer the land using ditches first and planting trees. They turned it from a soggy area where you needed stilts to get around to a much more passable land, because also people were doing pilgrimages. So that people needed to get through there to get to the Santiago del Compostela and other pilgrimages in that area. So the whole zone changed, which led to less stilting, and people just didn't need to anymore. So Sylvain was living on the coast as a baker in the mid-1800s, and apparently he loved stilting and dancing and entertaining, and he would put on shows in his town, like at the park around the corner from his bakery. No mouse this time. So his town is called Arcachon, and he noticed that the town was getting tourists, people from the city. So he wanted to show the folk culture and make some money in his town. So there's a couple pictures of him, his folk culture costume there. He's posing for these pictures. There was a quote I quite liked. The Echassier shows had racing, dancing, a square dance number known by the Gascon name Le Quadrille du Choncat. Stiltwalkers were referred to as being chonques, just like the huts. What's this there? He had the idea of organizing shows to give them a little taste of exoticism, show off the well-off city dwellers the image of poor land shepherds, barefoot or wearing clogs, dressed in sheepskin and frolicking on stilts. Bit of a businessman. And so he decided to get some attention by climbing to the second floor of the Eiffel Tower, which had just been built, in order to gain publicity and bring attention to stilting itself, as well as more business, I'm pretty sure. He got a lot of attention. I'm not sure if this drawing is actually based off of this photo. It's kind of exactly the same. But it's got the Eiffel Tower in it. So 647 steps on stilts. It's pretty impressive, right? Then he did his big walk from Paris to Moscow a couple years later, where there was one of the many world fairs. So let's watch this video. It was pretty fun, short. What?
Come on, try to count these.
I don't know what is happening here. Oh, ad blogger. Okay, how am I doing for my time?
Great. It's super interesting.
Hope you speak French. Watching the sheep. Can you imagine walking 60 kilometers a day? He didn't do it every day, he took breaks, but still. 1 meter 80 centimeters, I think. He had 2 pairs of stilts that he brought, 1 meter 80 and 1 meter 20. Received him. There was a big party. And then he got on a train and went back to Arcachon. And there was no party there. I think he just got back and went back to the bakery. Was he invited? I think he just decided to do it. Yeah, it was a stunt. Yeah.
FaceTime.
I didn't read any of the stories, but apparently there's lots of stories of him going across Europe to get there.
What was his name again?
Sylvain Dornon. Yeah. So today it's still alive, and they still take pictures for postcards, like this one. And they still wear the sheepskin vests and the berets. It's like a treasure. Yeah. Les Gouillards du Ladue came to North Carolina. This is from 2013. All men on stilts, I think. There's some ladies now, I think so, yeah. Ooh. skipping, jumping, whirling. Has anyone tried this? It would be amazing to go there and practice with them. So again, back to the 1800s, I found some stuff with stilting in cartoons or political commentary. And I don't know if I really want to read the poem, but it's using stilts more as an image, a metaphor. It's the giant stomping on the people and using people, the colossus, and having to do with the Commonwealth, sharing the commons. This is Milord Court. I think it's meant to be kind of like the banker came down to Land for a visit. But who's that in the red jacket who's about to fall down? Like, it looks like it's Napoleon or something. And then on the left, a commentary about women's hairdos. I guess. Is it practical stilting?
Well, it's saying that you have to suffer to be pretty. It's like,
Yeah. Who's suffering there?
It's
Yeah.
because they put those who, it's like, beauty is pain, basically.
Well, our hairdresser is using stilts in a practical way, but they're strapped to his thighs. It's very strange. Same on the right. Right. And he's got a lower level of peg that maybe is supposed that he would step up to. There's some circus and entertainment advertising. I'm really curious if they had stilters doing toreador, bull racing. What's it called? Bullfighting. And then, yeah, Belgium has a strong history and culture of stilt jousting, which is known to have started in the 1400s. And yeah, it's fighting to take down the other person. The Milan in yellow and black represent the sort of center of the village, city, the old city, and the Evres are from the new town, the suburbs. And it's always those two colors that compete. And there's always drum and fife players with a big parade before the jousting game. Yeah. Yeah, on the left is just mayhem. Like there's a lady under there looking up what's happening. But this is today very much part of their culture in this area of Belgium, known as Wallonia. And on the right, you can see in brown is a district called Namur, and the town of Namur is there as well. But that whole area has Wallonia Festival, and it's a part of their yearly festivities. But in the past, I found this little bit about they were offered as a celebration when royalty came to town. So les échasseurs namurois, that part of Belgium is a French-speaking, and the northern part is Dutch-speaking. The maps in Europe have changed a lot over time, as we know, but this is a sort of a cultural district. And it's still very much on. Let's check out this parade. They don't strap their stilts on. They hold on to them. It's hard to imagine they would joust on those 12-foot stilts. civic pride. Oh, they were working on some big skis together. It's crazy. This video pretty much goes on like this. They walk around. I think it's the pre-game display. Basically. Yeah. The Stiltwalkers of Namur have their own YouTube channel. Just want to go back for a second. Look at this. There's a little metal loop there. So they're not they're not as loose as you might think, but they need to be able to take their feet out pretty easily.
Gives them control for kicking and slashing.
Yeah, like yeah. Drummers in the background. Rock. And the Stilton Lopers, the Royal Stilters of Belgium, is basically the same thing, different name.
See that the little T-bar at the top of the stilt? Hold on to it.
Oh. So, to a different part of the world, there's also a stilting tradition in China. And I haven't gone into real depth on it, but here it is. They've got some short stilts for a festival in Manchukuo. I think this picture, when is this from? Oh, I don't have when it's from. 1910. Bamboo horses is what they called their stilts, and they're quite rustic as well, holding onto the top with a little bit of something to put your feet on.
So you notice they're actually standing on they're standing on the back.
Yeah.
Their feet are behind, not on the side.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Han area of China is where most of the stilting is found, from what I could tell. And they do some cool stuff with multiple people being held up who are also on stilts. Again, there's a sort of a wacky folk story where the foreign ambassador went to visit, but he was short. So he put on stilts to make himself of a higher profile, let's say. And that's how it happened, apparently. I might have more of a story there. Oh, no. So there's apparently two styles. This is a video too. Oh, it's gonna work.
Stilts is a Han folk dance spread in China. Stomping on sticks for a show.
That's
it is a
pretty
national
interesting,
intangible
right?
cultural
They're holding on to
heritage.
2 feet at once. Hopping backwards. So this is all, I think, in the Valiant style stilting. Takayuma. Now, I found another video that is really interesting with incorporating more breakdance. And another story about the origins. I don't think he's got foot plates, it's just wood and fabric.
玩高跷的历史来说吧，已经做到有10来年的历史了。
Drumming, music, costumes.
红白喜事啊，开业庆典呐，老人祝寿啊，都会有我们的表演。以前以来都是走走就完了，没有说是爱好这种演出了。 你要玩一些老的动作，现在人们也不喜欢了。说句俗话吧，看俗了一点。你创新所有的动作才能受到好朋友的欣赏啊。
I find that really interesting. People got bored with stilters just walking around, so they needed to do something more
玩街
interesting.
舞的一些动作嘛。
Okay.
根据我们改编出来的所有
Plus
这
the
些
young
节目
man thing
受到
about
所有
doing
好朋友
the big crazy moves and the muscular stuff. It takes a lot of strength, so much strength and courage. Stop, stop. Takayuma means bamboo horse in Japan. Don't think I have much video for that or content from Japan really, but it's there and they look like they're standing on bamboo with the foot behind the stick and some sort of like between the toes thing happening. Maybe that's just the shoes, but are they gripping the pole with the toes?
You do. In photos, you can actually see them. The big toe and the index toe grab.
Wow.
I saw somewhere that block, they'll have a certain height of bamboo and the block actually hold diagonal so they can tip it, slide it up higher, set it down, and friction locks it in place.
Wow.
Change height as well.
Ah. Cool. So yeah, kind of back to today, or at least the 20th century, we had practical stilting for work. Before cars became a big thing, there was mail delivery and orchard work, picking hops, picking fruit, pruning trees. There's, even in 1994, this young guy was doing orchard work and they had a magazine article about him. He made his own stilts and he's fastened around the thighs as well. And I understand, I think in some of these pictures, they did waist supports with their stilts as well. How to grow 12 feet tall, sit on a ladder and put your stilts on. And those are tripod stilts, I guess. And I think that they had motion so that the foot could tip a bit as well.
The very first version of what became our drywall as well.
Yeah, yeah. Has anyone tried drywall stilts? Yep. Clunky, hey?
But you can stand still.
Yeah, you can stand and deliver. So there was also a lot of, maybe not a lot, but a history of marathons and stunts. And Blondin, Charles Blondin, was an epic, amazing tightrope walker. He crossed Niagara with a wheelbarrow, with someone else on his back, and on stilts. And I was really wondering how did he adapt his stilts for that until I found this picture with the forks on the ends. So 1860, this guy was keeping stilting famous. Hijack Redmond in the 30s basically would advertise for people and walk across the country. The pictures are quite blurry of him, but he was famous. This young lady in 1977 was raising money and awareness against animal cruelty. And yeah, 2,500 vertical feet. She walked up a mountain on step-up stilts, I think. Her feet are not attached. 12 years old, though. Okay. We'll get back to the marathon stilts. It's not the first or last time Sylvain Dornan gained attention. Those folks and someone from famous Canadian circus. But yeah, circus in the 30s and 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s had big crazy stilts. I love the one on the left where he's got the weird fake arms, and it's a man, but it's dressed as a lady, and the costume only goes halfway down. It's sort of creepy. But yeah, with the ballet shoes, like what the clown. Why not? And they had really, really tall stilts in their shows, as you can see, which, of course you want stripes, vertical stripes for your super long pants. But also, these costumes on the right, again, with really tall stilts, they're very cool. And they're part of the clowning aspects of the show. Okay, bring us to Bread and Puppet Theater. Who's heard of Bread and Puppet Theater?
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. Okay, it was formed as a sort of protest theater in the 70s in Vermont. And they would put on big, giant puppet shows in their farm and tour around doing shows, and they would host people at their place. Tens of thousands of people would come, and hundreds of people would be part of the shows to put on these huge puppet extravaganza spectacles. And Peter Schumann, I found an interview with him on Democracy Now!, where he's talking about how he got into stilting. He's still alive and running the Bread and Puppet Theater in Vermont. I haven't been there, but it's definitely impacted my career and my art as a theater
This is
person.
Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. As we continue so you stopped those mass gatherings, but you continue every week performances.
Yeah.
First, can you talk about the stilts? How you came to be the man on stilts and what you're doing with that?
Oh, stilting. I learned stilting from a former monk from France.
Uncle Sam,
who had
that's who he is.
lived in Languedoc, I think, is the area where they have shepherds who are professionally on stilts because the ground is wet and rocky, and the way of guarding sheep is easier done from stilts. And they have the funny habit of spinning wool on stilts. So they do not only stilt, they have a third stilt that has a little seat. So they also sit on their stilts and they do spinning.
Wow.
And producing something on their stilts. So anyway, that monk showed us how to build stilts. Then we all got hooked. And we tried.
How do you build them?
We all got hooked.
From 2x2s or from cedar poles or whatever we had. It's easy.
Well, perhaps harder than building it is, of course, walking on stilts. Aren't yours like 20 feet high?
No, they are more like 10.5 feet from the foot down.
And so how do you get up on them?
I sit on top of one of our school
The
buses.
most common question. How do you
box
get up
on
on your
that because it isn't quite tall enough. Yeah, a box on top of the school bus. Yes.
And then how do you go from, once you tie them around your feet, to standing?
You just lift yourself up, and the rest is balance. Just you wiggle from one foot to the other. Like we wiggle when we walk.
Have you ever fallen?
Yeah.
Does it hurt?
Yeah, I've broken a few things.
But talk about the power of stilting. I mean, what is the message of stilts?
I think in the very beginning we just loved the danciness that you can get from stilts. It's a fun technique of being up and above everything.
Peter Schumann, why do you play Uncle Sam?
We need to make fun of Uncle Sam. I think it's very important. That figure, he's like Santa. Santa and Uncle Sam, we love those ridiculous figures to nose them and to
thumb your nose at them.
Yeah, I think the public deserves them in this form.
What are the other characters you've developed?
Well, in our theater, everybody does everything. And characters are usually gigantic groups of characters instead of singular characters. We have groups that we call Grey Ladies. We have groups that we call Uncle Fatzos. The first Uncle Fatso I built with kids, and the kids called him Uncle Fatso. Just a big landlord with a big top hat, big, fat.
We gotta move on, but yeah. What I find pretty amazing going on from Bread and Puppet Theatre was that he directly inspired Gilles Saint-Croix, who began Cirque du Soleil in Quebec. And the story I found is he was living in Quebec and in a commune picking apples, made stilts to pick the apples better, got good at it, started performing. Was an artistic guy in an artistic area of Quebec, just outside Quebec City, called Bay St. Paul. You can't really see it on the map, but it's just up from Quebec City. So he started performing in 1979. After seeing a Bread and Puppet Theatre show that he was performing in, he brought it up to Quebec, started a little stilt troupe, where he also did a 90-kilometer walk on stilts to raise funding for his show. 1981, they formed the Club des Talons Hauts, and their logo on the right there is pretty hilarious, I think, with the high heels. The High Heels Club was a not-for-profit to raise funds. And what they wanted to do was a different type of entertainment than the traditional thing that was happening at the time. More like a medieval age festival with street theater style stuff, which they did there in the town that they lived in. And then, based on this growth as artists, as a group, and after doing this marathon, he got funding for a big tour in 1984. And then they were able to launch Cirque du Soleil, which grew and grew and grew. So we have like the French Shepherds to Bread and Puppet to Cirque du Soleil, which has inspired many of us today here, I would say. These guys, this is hilarious. I love this costumes. So today we have a lot of what we do is for entertainment and sports, prosthetics, and drywalling. There's some really fun stuff going on with costumes these days. So the end of this slideshow is kind of like stuff happening today that I think is really cool. Four-legged, the Dark Crystal, the Landstriders were stilters. The Lion King, designed by Julie Taymor, the giraffes are famous four-legged stilts.
More sets of those for different companies doing that show.
Yeah, remount after remount.
Yeah.
And there's some high, what I think of as high concept stilts. I think this one with the like hazard cone costumes is a Cirque du Soleil production. Not sure which one, but that's a pretty hilarious costume idea. Let's see, traffic cones. Company Off Les Giraffe is pretty famous. They're, their giraffes are kind of like giant wagons with stilters being legs and pushing them along. See this structure with the wheels, but there's also 2 people operating each one. With ground support. So puppetry and stilts with technology, basically puppet technology, creates a very large street spectacle, outdoor theater, which is, for me, so much more exciting than indoor theater. Just gonna move along a bit. So yeah, Company Off. Whoop. Stilt World. I can't show the video right now. This company from California does super duper sexy stilting. Like their dancing is amazing. It's really sexy. And well, I'm a little bit out of order now, but here's our array of our modern stilt types. Pegs, metal pegs, these are voltage. Power risers or jumpers, drywalls. And pneumatic stilts is a pretty new thing where they have a pneumatic thingy in here. You have air pressure and you can bounce on it like crazy. This video has a comparison of jumpers and pneumatic stilts. Also there's digitigrade, I think that's what I call it. For when you're feeling like a satire, I guess, satire.
When stilt walking isn't hard enough and you want to make it worse. They are so hard to walk on.
Yeah. Skating, 2017. Ah, no, come back. These have to be custom built stilts with skates on them. Super cool. There's lots of people using LEDs in their stilts. Different types of umbrellas and drapey stuff and wings and built-in things. This one's kind of a cool four-legged with lights. The robot costumes, you can buy them online, and a lot of people have. And the public loves them. They're so like bright and robotic. Having worn one myself, it's really hard to see out the helmet. It's like a drywall stilts, really clunky thing. Not my favorite, but it's very popular. I like these people's interpretation with some other stuff. This show, I really like. using inflatables and lights to create a giant spectacle. See the fan on the costume there? It's hanging off. So they're using the uninflated costume as a costume. And then they're drawn to the light. And then these big creatures. You can't see while it's blowing up around you, looks like, and then their face pokes out of the heart of the human. Yeah. And then their heads light up. Drawn to the light. You don't need huge fans to inflate these costumes, I don't think. I think they might have two in these though. Pretty big. I've seen one that was a big fat chef inflated.
That guys used to tour around, and they actually were franchising themselves. They had golfers, cops, jewelry, guns, half a dozen costume franchises.
Close Act Theatre from Belgium does amazing things with built-in sound and sort of articulated heads. Are you okay if I keep going a bit? Yeah. Okay. They came to Toronto when I was living there, and I saw a different set of costumes, which are in the next slide. They're a lot like this. They told me that they were 50 kilograms, each costume is 50 kilograms to wear. And they have built-in speakers. Usually with a sort of like a dragon herder person. Bad dragon, bad. Or Saurus, rather, Saurus. Insects. Show at Buskerfest is where I saw them. And so finally, there's some stilts as body augmentation, where amputees are using stilts in their art and lives. This woman was a dancer. I'm not sure how, oh, I think she was born without her hands and lower legs. Amy Mullins is an athlete and a model, and I believe that these boot stilt things were made by Alexander McQueen. this fashion designer. And then Victoria Modesta. I like what she's doing here with really fashionable, exciting, modern-looking prosthetic, which is a stilt, pretty much, I think. Yeah. That's what I've got. This is a work in progress. Julio leave? Julio left. Oh no, there you are. Thanks. I gotta get some intel from you and get it in here.
That's what we're here for this weekend. We're
Yeah.
here to share. We're here to expound what we know so that the next generation would have the knowledge.
Yeah.
Knowledge in the grave is of no use in the land of the living.
Yeah. So I guess for me, like, the most interesting, exciting thing was watching this sort of trail of passing on tradition and folk culture and being inspired by what we see. Keep going. Thank you.
That's actually to clarify, because gone down this same path that Amira has, but not quite as deep and as thorough. You found stuff that I